Okay, welcome back everyone to the Athlete's Mind podcast. If you are new here, make sure you subscribe and go and follow us on all of our socials. If you are returning, big thank you to all of you. You guys are what keep this podcast running. The support has been unreal lately, especially with these draft prospect episodes. You guys have been loving them. Apologies to the non-footy fans. I know you guys have been requesting some other sports, but we got some in the works, so keep an eye out for that. And yeah, this is one of the first interviews we're doing back in the studio. It's been a couple months, so it's good to be back in here. Very excited for this one. Evan Smith is joining us today. Draft prospect, Swans waffle player. Big thank you for you taking the time out today. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thanks. No, thanks for having me.
Yeah, all good, mate. Like I said, people love the draft prospect episodes, and I love interviewing you guys, so it's awesome. Now, we start every podcast the same, and that's how did you sort of get into your sport? So did the journey start from a young age, or did it sort of come about later on in your life?
Yeah. So I had a couple of older relatives that played a bit of sport. Dad played a bit of footy over his time. Also, my uncle played one or two games of AFL, right. And that's kind of what inspired me to carry on with a footy journey. Yeah.
What team did he play for in the AFL?
Originally got drafted to Collingwood.
Yeah.
But then spent most of his time in the VFL.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, that's awesome, mate. And you spent your junior days for Averley, is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, how was your time with that club?
Yeah, good. I started off with Upper Swan and then moved to Averley. There was a bit of riff-raff with the president and whatnot, so right. We had quite a dominant team, and then we had to split up, and then unfortunately moved to Averley, but yeah, it was really good. It's
interesting you mentioned that, because in my junior days, I mean, I'm roughly the same age as you, I actually used to play for Cardies, Mount Hawthorn Cardinals, and I remember we used to verse Upper Swan and Averley. And I remember Upper Swan, like you said, being very dominant. And then all the players moved to Averley. And I remember me and all my teammates were very confused about it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, to be honest, some of my mates, or even I might have even versed you, to be honest, which is funny. But, Averley and Upper Swan, very good teams. You guys were unbeatable. Yeah, we did not come close. Were there any other sports you played growing up? Or was it just...
So at the same time, when I started my footy journey, I played a bit of basketball too.
Yeah.
Especially with my brother, we'd play as quite a community team down at Altone, which is not too far from here too. So, but we kind of quit at the same time and focused a bit more on our footy.
Yeah, and I'm guessing you went to play basketball because of your height.
Yeah. It's kind of the common image. I get, go around the shops, get asked if I play basketball. So yeah.
Yeah, of course, mate. And what about any junior memorable moments? Whether that's winning grand finals, or it doesn't even have to be in footy. Whether that's other sports, anything you can remember?
So it was year 10 with Averley. We won a grand final there.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, obviously quite a surreal experience. Just spending time with mates, and that's when footy was quite enjoyable, but now it's getting serious.
Do you sort of miss those club days?
Yeah. Just spending time with mates. I really enjoyed, not taking footy as serious as of yet. But yeah, didn't really start getting competitive until about year 7. But yeah, now it's obviously, starting to ramp up.
Of course, and like you said, footy is getting very serious at this stage for you. Was there a particular point in your footy journey where you sort of knew that you could take your footy to the next level? Or did you sort of go into footy just playing for fun? At what stage did you sort of know, okay, I can go somewhere with this?
Yeah, so it kind of came around at that year 7, year 8 time, where I kind of had that athletic ability to, showcase my performances and my skill. And I thought I could, pursue that into a career of mine. So, but yeah, that's what really, inspired me to continue on with that.
Yeah, nice. And speaking more current, congratulations, because you've been invited to the National Combine this year.
Yeah, thanks.
A massive achievement. Only 12 guys get selected for that in WA. So, I first want to ask you, what was your reaction, sort of hearing the news?
Yeah. Obviously, it's not that you hear news like that every day. But yeah, no, it was a really big surprise, and obviously it's a great achievement. And it's something to look forward to. So, but yeah, I just can't wait for it to happen.
Yeah, and I believe it's at least 5 AFL clubs to be interested in you, to be invited. Obviously you don't have to disclose what clubs and whatnot, but what have the conversations sort of been like with these clubs? Have they sort of got to know you as a person, and what do they sort of rate you in with your skills in your game?
Yeah, so I've had a couple come over to the house recently. Obviously, they know what you can do on the field, but the reasoning why I come over to the house is just to look into the personal side a bit more. home life, what your situation at home is pretty much like.
Yeah, those are big things. I think it's pretty interesting when I hear draft prospects tell me about that. Like they try and really dive into how you are as a person, your qualities, and like you said, your home life. So yeah, that's awesome. And I want to sort of ask you about your time at Swan Districts. You've had a good run with them this season. Some very good performances from yourself. How has the club sort of influenced your overall development?
So I did a couple of under 14s work with them here and there with a couple of other mates that I'm currently playing with. They've been great, trying to get me in good shape and, trying to really grow in a footy sense and, off the field as well. I've been facing a couple of personal challenges too. So, they've always been there for me in a way. But, always trying to grow, both on and off the field.
Yeah, nice. Great. Yeah, that's good that you said like both on and off the field. So when you say like personal challenges, would you say they're sort of like that go-to community for you in your life that you sort of go to?
Yeah. I have a couple of people which I turn to when I face some difficult tasks or challenges, I guess. Yeah. So bit of stuff going at home. So but yeah, that's where I kind of look forward to.
Yeah, nice, mate. And how has your overall season been with the boys? Do you think the future's bright for the team going forward?
Yeah, definitely. Over the last couple of weeks and, early on in the season, we've been playing a couple of younger boys, especially, just trying to get them used to the game as much as they can, just trying to get them prepped up for next season. We have a couple of overages that are unfortunately missing out because of those younger boys coming in. Yeah. But I think it's just good for them to get that early exposure.
Have you sort of stepped into a bit of a leadership role this year, would you say?
So I kind of spent my time with the seniors as well. So especially in the seniors pre-season, I wasn't there with the Colts as much. But I, step in when I can. So, try to give a bit of advice to the boys.
I think it's good, especially, if you want to take your game to that next level of the AFL and state. I think having those leadership qualities is a very good thing to have.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and sort of talking into that culture side of the team, how have you boys been as a group? Like, would you say you're quite close with all the boys and, you've got that camaraderie sort of?
Yeah. It's funny because I've got a couple of mates that I play with at Swans also go to my school, so I'm quite close with them. And it's, probably while I gel. That's why we gel as a team so much. And unfortunately, we're not winning at the moment, but we're still having a hell of a lot of fun. So
yeah, that's good. And is anyone in particular that you're sort of close to? Obviously, the boys from your school you mentioned. Anyone?
Yeah. So two mates that I'm at school with, Thomas Cathcart and Blake Bombardier. I'm quite close with them. Other mates like Riley Hardiman, Luke Kelly. They've finished school now, but I'm quite close to them too. So. But yeah, as I said, we all gel together as a team, and unfortunately we're not winning. But we're just trying to improve our game as much as we can.
Of course, yeah. And who would you say is sort of like the funniest bloke on the team? Sort of brings our culture together.
I've got to say Harry Crichton. He, just a strange cat. He just says some wild things sometimes.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Has to get to you, but yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. And I did actually want to ask you, so you are a part of the TLA footy management team. So I've seen a couple guys sort of a part of that management. How did that come about for you, and how have they sort of helped you with your game?
Yeah. So I had a couple of early offers, so to speak. A couple of managers approached me, but I just kind of needed to, get it over and done with and sign with someone. I'm with TLA, they're really good. Also, managing like Lance Collard, Riley Hardiman, Luke Kelly, all those boys. But yeah, I just really gel with my manager, and that in the end of the day, that's why I signed with him. I didn't want to sign with someone I didn't, get along with. So,
of course,
But yeah, they're both there for me on and off the field. As I said, with Swans as well, they're really accommodating.
Yeah, nice. And yeah, because I've seen this TLA management around a lot, especially with the young boys like yourself, and I think it's pretty cool. Like they've got some pretty big names on there as well, and that'd be awesome to be a part of. Now, talking more into your position, being a ruckman, has that sort of always been the case growing up, or have you sort of played in some other positions? Yeah,
so when I spent my time at Upper Swan and Aveley, I kind of spent my time down forward, and then kind of grew from there, and then kind of spent my time in the ruck. I was kind of forced into that position, but I probably prefer playing forward, but don't mind a bit of ruck time too.
So did you sort of like go through a massive growth spurt and that's why they put you in the forward?
Yeah. A couple of people noticed it, and then I started dominating in the ruck, and obviously that's why I've been given that position.
Yeah, because I mean, like, mate, your hit outs are just crazy. Like, looking at your stats, like some awesome stuff there. So, but like you said, you prefer playing forward. Is that just
I guess I kind of grew up with it, and that's everyone likes kicking a goal.
Of course.
But that's what you love being up forward for. But I don't mind playing ruck either. So and I'm going all right there.
Yeah, doing very well. And what's sort of the training involved for you to like improve your ruckman skills? Anything you do to work with your coaches at training to sort of develop you?
Yeah, I'll just kind of get aside from training and bring a bigger body with me. There's a lot of body work, a lot of bag work and stuff like that. Obviously, very physical in the ruck. So you just kind of got to get used to that throughout the pre-season and throughout the season, and hopefully you'll be in shape for ruck positions throughout the season. Yeah.
Yeah, I think a ruck position's an interesting one because especially with players that have grown up in their junior days that were tall and then played it, and then everyone sort of caught up to them. Like I have mates that used to play ruck because of their height, but everyone sort of caught up to them, and now they're forced to play a different position. Not as good. So. But with you, sort of like you've always been like pretty tall though, right? It's just like when you went through that main growth spurt, you've had to play ruck, and I think development is a massive thing for ruckmen. So yeah, that's good. And now we ask everyone this, but that's sort of going outside of footy. Obviously, playing at a high level that you do, it's good to have a balance, good life footy balance. Are there any hobbies outside of footy you like to sort of do to take your mind off the game?
Yeah. As you said, you can get, mentally exhausted from the game as well. I like to take the time to step away from it and focus on other things, spend time with family. But more importantly, I like hitting the golf course. Kind of takes my mind off, everything, and just lets me relax a little bit.
Yeah, golf's a big one. I think every draft prospect or every footy player that we've interviewed has said golf. That's a big one. Yeah. So I mean, that's awesome. So you go with the Swan boys. Play a bit of golf.
We do a bit of golf down at the Vines. It's handy because we work there too, so it's all free. So can't really complain.
Would you say you're pretty good at golf?
Yeah, I'm average. Not the best, not the worst.
That's where you want to sit, mate. I'm shocking. Honestly, I'll put it out there. I'm no good. But yeah, I did want to sort of talk into your State 18 experience. So obviously you were selected in the under 18 squad this year. First off, how was the feeling of being selected, and was that sort of a goal for you coming into the year?
Yeah, so pre-season I worked really hard, and I'd set myself that goal that I want to be named in the 18 squad. This was my first real year of state. First game was a bit of a shock, but it's all a learning experience, and I took some things from it that I could improve on, and thought I did well in some things too.
Yeah, and you said the first game was a shock. I was actually going to ask you about that. Going into that sort of first game, what was it about the game that you weren't sort of expecting of that level?
I guess when you compare a national champs game to a Colts game here, it's such a fast game. Like it's as I said, first year of states, it was really hard to grasp the concept of how fast the ball was moving, and what was required to kind of match that game style and that pace of the game. But yeah, it was really hard to get used to at first. But then it kind of started getting together around the second, third, and fourth game.
Yeah, that's good. And has there been anything in particular this year that you've sort of tried developing on your game? Anything that you sort of maybe didn't do too well last year that you've sort of improved this year?
Yeah, spending time with the seniors in the pre-season, it really allowed me to go up against those bigger bodies, those bigger players that, you might be expected to go up against in the national champs and whatnot. I've been focusing on my contested marking too.
Yeah.
I think, as a tall, that's kind of expected from you, down the line or in the forward 50 taking those big marks. But yeah, I've been really, working on that. So, and that's coming together really well. Nice,
yeah. And are there any players in the AFL you sort of base your game off? Anyone you sort of look up to?
Yeah. Tim English, obviously, one of the dominant rucks now. Not only just his, his tapping work in the ruck, but his follow-up game's real nice. Probably ends up with 20 disposals each game. So, just acting like that extra midfielder I like, running around the ground and whatnot.
Yeah, fair enough. Tim English, he's a gun. He is very good. Now, I did want to go into some personal questions that I like to ask. And the first one I have for you is, with all the people in your life that you sort of look up to or go to for advice, who would you say is like your biggest supporter, even if that's off the field, whether that's a coach, family members, friends? I'm sure there's many on the list, but if you can narrow it down, who would you sort of say that is for you?
I face some family and some personal challenges, as I said before. But my sister's probably been my number one supporter. She tries to get down at every game. She faced a bit of cancer earlier on, about 2 years ago.
Sorry to hear that, mate.
So, she's, been trotting along pretty much. But, it's been a tough 2 years now. So, she's been my, biggest supporter. And that's why I want to play footy and perform well just for her. So,
Yeah, big respect to you, man. I think that's what, at the end of the day, that's what matters most. Your loved ones, your family, and the fact that, you're sort of doing it for her and she's there supporting you along the way. That's just awesome to have that. I know with me, I have an older sister and she, we try and support each other where we can. And having that, relationship with your family, I think is very important.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
That's very good for you. And for other athletes sort of trying to make it at a high level in their sport, what advice would you sort of give them? For anyone listening now, anyone that's in a similar position to you or just trying to take their game to the next level, what would you sort of tell them?
Yeah, big thing what I took from this year in footy and stuff, we focused on a lot of the professionalism kind of things. So, whether that's getting prep for games, post games, what's required of you and, what you need to work on and whatnot. But professionalism is a big thing in sport. How you act, how you behave, and that'll influence the way and how you perform. But
it's a big one. Now we'll move on to some fan questions, some ones that got sent in. I'm sure you're excited for some of these.
Can't wait to hear these.
Yeah. So first one we got is from John Armstrong.
Yeah.
Is that your coach?
Yeah, that's Sondish's coach.
Yeah. Yes, I thought so because you mentioned it to me before this episode. So he has said, what is one of the most disgraceful moments he has ever done during a round of goal? GOL.
John Armstrong? I don't know. Jeez, he has a bit of a temperament sometimes. When I play with him, he's cool, calm and collective, but I just reckon there's another side to him where he gets a bit angry sometimes. I could be a bit like that myself too.
Fair enough. And we got one from Hazard_29. Pretty sure he's a Swans player as well.
Yeah, that's Harry Crichton. Yeah.
So, what is the most logical thing you've done?
Logical thing I've done? I don't know. As I said, Harry before, he's a strange cat, so I don't really know how to respond to that. Yeah. So, he says some weird things, but might need a bit more context to that, Harry. Yeah,
fair enough. Now we got, this one's going to be very hard to pronounce. V1D4N, I don't know, some Instagram username. Question, how small are you? Yeah.
I don't know. Don't know about small.
Not really the right word.
I don't know who that is, but 200 centimetres, but I don't know what that is in feet. So, bit of a weird one.
Massive, mate. We got one from Riley Hards. What's one experience that not only developed your footy, but also developed you as a person? It's a good question.
Yeah. Riley's quite an intellectual person too. Biggest thing that's, kind of like influenced me as well and growing as a person, is obviously, taking my mind off footy, and, what I can do to, just relax, and just sit back and, take my mind off the game, because most of the time, especially, transitioning from national champs back to Swans, it was quite of a roller coaster of emotions. I thought it was going to be an easy transition, playing back footy at Swans, but it really wasn't. So, that's when the golf comes in handy and stuff. But also look to family where I can. Yeah. Yeah,
nice. We got one from Pierce Topless.
Pierce Topless.
Yeah. My fault for the pronunciation, not too good. Does Evan reckon he could take on the year 11 Balladura Premiership runner-ups 2021?
Yeah.
That would have been year 10.
Pierce is one of Riley and I. He's one of our mates. So he used to play for Balladura, but I saw him the other night kicking the footy. He's not got a great kick, but something he can work on too. But I reckon we can definitely beat him.
Fair enough. Now, last one for you from Daniel Moreland.
Yeah.
Now this, so he said preferred team to go to. I'm guessing he's referring to the AFL.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm sure you'd be grateful for being drafted. But what's your preferred team?
Any opportunity would be great at this point. I'm not too phased, but I'd love to stay here. So I'm a passionate Eagles supporter. So that's where I'd love to go. I wouldn't want to change my opinion, but just obviously with the family here and stuff. Obviously everyone gets homesick moving away and stuff. But any opportunity would be great.
100%. Yeah. So you're an Eagles supporter. Yeah. How good. Yeah. That's same here. My dad's supporter, so sort of how I got into it. But what do you reckon of the Eagles this season? Not too good, obviously.
Obviously, a bit like Swans at the moment. We're not winning games, but I'm sure they're having some fun. But you're just gelling, with teammates as well. Enjoying each other's company. But
especially with the young guns. Elijah Hewitt, Ruben Jimby. I'm sure they'll develop and get better. So
for sure.
Now we finish every episode with some mental questions. Obviously, the athlete's mind, biggest topic we talk about on here. And the first one I have for you is: with all the training you do you ever feel mentally burnt out, and how do you sort of manage that?
So as I was saying before, I feel quite burnt out a lot, and that's where I turn to some people where I can talk to, especially the management at TLA. I talk to my manager quite a lot. 3 or 4 phone calls a week. Really helps for me, but also talking to family and stuff like that. As I said, you just need that rest from the game. You can't constantly keep doing it, and that's what makes you feel that burnt out sensation. I'll just turn to people where I can.
Most definitely, and especially for you, still being in school. Did you find it sort of hard to are you doing ATAR or anything at school?
Yeah, I'm doing a bridging course for Murdoch Uni. So it's kind of the same application to ATAR. Obviously, not the same workload, but juggling footy and school. It's is
that like a uni ready? Yeah, because I'm doing the same, man. But I mean, managing all that, I can imagine is very hard, especially still being in school. So, as long as you have the people to talk to, it's very important.
Yeah.
And how do you sort of mentally prepare for games? You have a routine you like to stick to going into it?
Yeah, well, it's a bit hard, playing Colts and stuff in the morning, 9 o'clock. I like to wake up at 5, have a bit of brekkie and stuff, take the dogs for a walk, just as I said, taking your mind off the game, especially before the game. I don't like to overthink it, I'll just, go for a walk where I can, grab a coffee, stuff like that. But it's a bit hard, waking up early, being at the ground at 7:30 and stuff, and playing at 9. But not of a big window of time. But it's quite crammed.
And what about when you sort of when you get to the ground? Are you sort of like a player that likes to sort of lock in with your headphones, or do you like to get around the boys? What do you sort of like to do?
Bit of a mix. I'm a very independent person myself. I could spend a whole day by myself. So but I'll obviously get around the boys. Especially before a game, hype them up, and expected to hype for them to hype me up too. We like getting around each other. Giving some shit to people as well. So, good camaraderie. I can,
Very independent. That's good, man. I think, it's good to have a bit of a mix, which is good. And how do you sort of deal with a loss? Obviously, it can take a bit of a toll on you.
I don't know. It would take me a couple good days to, as I said, I try not to overthink things. But it will take me a couple of days to get over it. I'm quite a big one on vision and whatnot. Both individually as a team. What we could have done better and what we could have improved on. Yeah,
nice. And now this question is a big one on here. We get many different answers, and you sort of did touch on it a little bit before. But what would you say is your key motivation that you think to when performing? So, when times are tough, even when times are going well, what's that one thing you think too that sort of pushes you that extra mile? As I touched on earlier, my sister, obviously she's been through some battles and challenges over 2 years now,
You know, all you want to do is, you know, please your family and, you know, please the people who come to support you and watch you. But, you know, when you're playing, you know, always have her in my mind, and always try to do the best I can for her.
Yeah, big respect, man. And yeah, so I wish you all the best for your future and all of that. Just the last one for you is for the rest of the year, what's sort of your goals, obviously, with the draft coming up in November? What are you sort of focusing on at the moment leading up to that?
Yeah. You know, like we've been talking about it, like, you know, not overthinking things, you know, not being mentally burned out too. So, but yeah, I'm just trying to, you know, just trying to, you know, keep my head in the game kind of thing. And just, you know, trying to focus on the main goal, and obviously being drafted, you know, trying to overthink things and whatnot. Just trying to keep it simple.
Of course, yeah, I think it's important not to overwhelm yourself. Like you want to focus on now, not the future. So for you, obviously, get through school, get that bridging course done, and then and then the draft coming up in November is a massive goal for you. So. Yeah, that about wraps it up. Big thank you for coming on and taking the time today, Evan. It's always appreciated. That's about it. Everyone listening, if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Music, make sure you go and check this out on YouTube. And if you're watching on YouTube, go and check it out on Spotify. And we have it out on most podcast platforms. And make sure you follow us on the socials as well so you don't miss any future episodes. Go and follow Evan. Bright future ahead. Thanks again for coming on.
No, thanks for having me.
All good, man.
You.
And yeah, cheers everyone. Catch you guys in the next episode.